Echo is here joining me for the first time, which is amazing.
I'm glad to be
This is
here.
his debut.
Super excited.
Yes. If you are a regular on our forums, you might have seen him around, but here he is in the flesh. He is a real human.
Not just a bot.
No.
A real person, I promise.
He is real. So Echo, tell us about what you do on the team.
Yeah, so I'm a dev here on War Dragons. The primary things that I work on that you're probably familiar with are events, seasons dragons, flag towers, league structures, dragon riders, obviously, here to talk about that, and many other things, but those are probably the primary things that I work on.
Yeah, you do a lot. That's why he's always in the forums, like answering questions and all of that. So yeah, you can feel free to keep tagging him on the forums.
Oh yeah, I see them all, I promise.
So, what are dragon riders? Give us I guess the short
spiel.
version.
So, dragon riders, as you can imagine, obviously ride on dragons, but they're come from this ancient race of people who used magic to bond with dragons and fly these dragons. Their magic made them stronger. They took over and conquered areas of the world, and they warred so much with each other that they've become quite the rare race now. And so there's a few left, but they still have a lot of power, and you're now going to see them introduced into the game.
Got it. Cool. So why did you guys come up with dragon riders? Why this and not something else?
Well, I think here at War Dragons, you can imagine many of us are fans of dragons, and we've grown up watching different movies, reading different books with dragons, and we've always been fascinated by them. And I think probably all of us have also thought about riding on a dragon. I mean, you have very prominent stories in movies like when I was a kid, the Never-Ending Story, where you're riding on Falcor, or you have now Daenerys Targaryen who's riding in Game of Thrones, or you have even in like Christopher Paolini's books, Aragon, just lots of like dragon riders with magical abilities. So it's something I think that we've always all along wanted to do. But with War Dragons, we definitely wanted to get players used to dragons, get a big depth of dragon content in the game. And now we want to kind of expand upon that and create more strategy within the dragons that there already are. And we felt that it was the perfect time to introduce riders and bring that element into the game.
Awesome. I am super excited. I remember this was about a year ago. We had people that were like, can we ride our dragons? And the answer is yes, now you can. And we're going to show you how to do that. So in the game, how do we start accessing this feature?
Yeah, so starting for next season, actually every player will have the ability to acquire a dragon rider in the season. It will be kind of its own branch in the season, and it will also have gear to go on that dragon rider. So you'll be able to choose which dragon you want to bond it and fly with that. So that will be where the majority of players are getting riders. There will be a few other riders at the start that will be available in World Map. But there will be riders, the point is, available to all players starting next week. But if you look right now in your game, we just made an update, 3.50 update, and you should be able to see the dragon riders, the UI, and some of them already right now.
Cool. So today we're going to be using a test version of the game. We've got that right in front of us. So can you walk us through where the dragon riders show?
So again, if you go and check your app store to update for the new update, and you go to the normal dragon roster screen here in the bottom left, you'll see whatever dragons that you have. If you tap on one of the dragons, you'll see that there's this new button here in the top right that says Rider. So up here in the top right, you go over to your rider, and it brings open a tab of hired and unhired riders. So you'll be able to see in the unhired pool all the current existing riders. And as you can see here, we've already hired some, so you won't have done that. But when you tap on them, it'll show them next to the dragon that you've selected. And you'll be able to, either hire the rider in the bottom right corner for these rider shards. But before you do that, you want to check out what stats they have. So if you click the rider info button on the left, it'll take you to this cool menu here, which is very reminiscent of research in the game, if you're familiar with that. And you can go through and see that there's this tree that each rider has its own unique and special set of skills. And every time you level up the rider, you'll get more skill points to choose into which stat you want to upgrade. So you'll be able to make that decision with a lot of care, because you don't necessarily have enough points to level up everything here. So it's more strategy on which thing that you want versus another skill.
Got it.
So you go through and you take a look at this rider, then you can like check out the other riders and just look at their different skill trees. So that's kind of how you'll make a decision on which one you want. There's another layer for riders here that after you've hired a rider, so let's just say, sneak preview.
Yeah, sneak preview.
Sneak preview, guys. I don't know if anybody recognizes. Does anybody recognize this guy that I have highlighted here?
Yeah, hint. He may be a portrait. Yeah.
Yes. So this is actually the Karnak's minion portrait.
But he has a name now.
And he is named. He's an official named minion. So his name is Grog. And actually, as you can see him right here, you can see he looks like a 3D model, really, of the portrait that we had. So let's hire Grog right now.
He's got abs for days. Can I just point that out?
Yes, I'm a little bit jealous, but I'm okay with that. So let's hire him. So once you hire the rider, you have the option to rename them if you want. So if Grog wasn't your favorite name of choice, you can obviously rename him. So let's rename him Grog-alicious or something.
Grog-alicious.
Grog-alicious.
Oh my god, hilarious.
There we go. So we got Grog-alicious here. So now, after you've hired the rider, you have to actually decide which dragon you want to put this rider on. So, and you do that by bonding them. When you bond, it takes a little bit of time after you start bonding for it to complete.
Mm-hmm.
You can obviously speed that up with rubies, but let's go ahead and pick a dragon to bond this guy on.
All right.
Let's see. Let's go with. Let's pick Morphos.
Morphos.
All right, Morphos.
Little baby Morphos, level 1.
He looks much prettier.
Yeah.
So when you click start bonding, you'll see there's this bond time. He has an hour to bond. And once he's bonded, the way to unbond him is to unbond him from that dragon is to bond another dragon rider to that same dragon. It will unbond him, and then you can rebond him to kind of another dragon.
Got it.
But let's just go ahead and speed this up so we don't have to wait an hour.
Yes.
So now he's bonded here. At level 1, when you first bond your dragon rider, he actually doesn't have any of his skills leveled up yet.
Right.
So you'll see him on your dragon or her if it's a female dragon rider, but you won't be able to have any stat boost until you level it up or you equip gear.
Cool.
So let's look maybe at leveling up the
Yeah,
dragon
let's
riders.
do it.
So this is that screen that we showed you before. As you see, all these ones down here are locked because we have to complete the skill tree leading up to it. But this one here is increased dragon HP. So at level 1, it'll be a 5% increase. You see at level 2, it's a 1%, and then it scales up from there. And you see that there's a total of 5 total upgrades. They cost, for Grog-alicious or Grog, they cost these skulls, which are the shards.
And those are obtained in the seasonal prizing, right?
So in seasonal prizing, in the rider branch, in the upcoming season, you'll be able to get access to these shards to level up Grog.
Cool.
So we already have a few here. So if you see, I leveled up. Now it turned green. I have the 0.5% bonus. Level up again. I have the 1%. Now 1.5. And as you can see, if I go back to this main menu over here in the top left corner, well, mind that for a test build right now. That will not happen. But what you'll see is when you go back to that main screen in the top left, it'll show you the total stats of all the things that you've researched.
Got it. So you can kind of keep track of what's going on. Because it looks like there's going to be a lot of different modifiers that you can actually get.
This is correct. And we can talk about some of these modifiers. So let's see here. Yeah, so unfortunately he's not leveled up right now. We'll have to work on that on this test build, but what you'll see is what I was showing is here's the screen where it says equip gear to empower your rider in the top left. That's where you'll see your stat bonuses for everything that you've currently trained.
Got it.
All right, so let's talk about, go look at gear.
Yeah.
So we're going to go look. And so keep in mind, there will be, in the season, there will be gear specifically in the rider branch that you'll be able to acquire with sigils, and that will not require any crafting.
Right.
It'll just directly be given as an award.
Awesome.
And so that gear is going to be super awesome. I'm super excited for it. It is going to be of the dark element type. So each gear is going to have an element type. And to use that element type gear on a dragon, it must match with the dragon's element.
So that's kind of like the restriction. So you can bond any dragon rider to whatever dragon you want, but if it has armor on it, then you have to play the matching game.
Correct.
Okay.
So be very mindful when you equip something. You actually cannot equip gear onto the rider until it's bonded to a dragon, because that way you don't make a mistake of equipping gear on one rider that you actually want to equip on another dragon. It has to already be bonded. Then the gear has to match the element of that dragon to equip it. So spoiler, which hopefully you'll be excited about, but all of the rider gear is going to be in the season branch is going to be dark element. And all of the dragons of next season will also be a dark element.
Yes.
So you don't have to worry about picking which dragon is going to meet with the gear. You'll be able to use the gear on any of next season's dragons that's given in the season.
When this is like introduced, it'll kind of be this more streamlined experience. You don't really have to that much like thought in terms of like trying to make things work.
Yes.
Cool.
And the gear will be great gear. So gear is made for kind of two things. There's one type of gear that is really focused on buffing a dragon's attack. So this is, you want to equip this on your dragon that you're using to wreck people's bases all the time, because it'll boost attack, it'll boost their XP gain, or all sorts of things. And then there's a second type of gear and rider that boost your base.
Got it.
So if you have a dragon that you put on your perch, and the dragon is the one that you always want on your defense perch, you actually can bond a defensive dragon rider and put defensive gear on it, and then that rider on that perch will buff your whole base. So your whole base can now get stronger, and in addition, your dragons can get stronger with the riders.
So if we look at the forge, this is how we go in and kind of craft gear, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So crafting gear, so this is a little bit different than the seasonal gear. So the seasonal gear that you get will just be directly credited. All other gear must be crafted. And crafting will take these new crafting materials. And actually these materials, for the time being, are only going to be available in world map. So we have some updates about that we'll allude to later. But for right now, the crafting piece will only be if you're on a world map team, because otherwise you don't have a way of getting the crafting materials. But as you can see here, there'll be this new tab where you have these different materials at the top, and you have all these items. You have chest items. Here, we'll look at the gear types. We have rings, we have gloves, we have weapons, helmets, chest, pants, boots. And so let's just select boots. You can filter on element type, dark, and so you have these boots. So when you go to craft, so you look at this item and say, hey, all right, we have the Warlock battle boots.
Okay.
We have 4 different rarities. We have common, we have rare, epic, and legendary. I don't know about you guys, but I always want legendary everything.
Heck
so I hope that my luck is really good. But every time you craft, the craft cost is the same, but there's a probability chance of getting one of these 4 types of rarities.
Got it. And what does the percentage denote underneath?
Yeah, so the percentage denotes the starting boost on this stat that's mentioned here on the left. So if you see here, this boosts dragon attacks. So common is 0.2, rare is 0.6, 0.9, 1.5. And most of these items have 5 to 10 level ups. So this 1.5 will, on the legendary, will turn to much higher. It's probably more like a 5%. So it definitely has a lot of benefit to getting the legendary version and leveling it up versus common or rare version.
Cool.
So let's check out crafting. So
all right, fingers crossed.
yeah, fingers crossed. Test builds are always funny.
Yes.
So it looks like it works. So
Okay.
you see, it actually is using your forge crafting slots.
Yeah.
And so now we have 3 hours for this item that's crafting. We don't know yet which rarity we're gonna get, but
Yes.
I feel like we're gonna get lucky.
I got a legendary right before this, so let's
you
see.
blow all of our luck? No.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I might have.
well, let's not wait 3 hours. So we're gonna go ahead and complete all. So now it's completed. Once you tap on it. Oh no. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, we'll craft again. Don't worry. But so this time we got a common.
Yeah.
So as you can see, this is the 0.2%, and it's the boost. You click OK. So that's okay. That's okay. It's still good.
If we weren't happy with that though, we could just craft it again, right?
So you can just turn around and say, you know what? Here's these Warlock battle boots again. I'm just gonna craft one, and you know what? I want to increase my chances, so I'm gonna just craft another, and they're gonna be multiple.
Oh my gosh.
So let's see. All right.
Okay, rare.
All right. Rare is reasonable.
Rare.
Okay, rare is reasonable, and then. Okay, comment. Well, we got a rare. So let's go back and look at our rider. So now that you have a piece of gear, let's go back and say, hey, you know what element actually is, we got, let's see, this element, oh, my elements are not showing up on this right now. I forget which element he is. I was gonna say I don't think I can equip this piece of gear. How about we do this? Let's forge a couple different elemental types of gear. We're gonna craft.
Maybe wind.
We're gonna.
But don't quote me on that.
This one we're gonna craft in Gale. We're gonna complete all. All right, so we have a couple other pieces. Let's go back now to Morphos, Grog, and go to our rider. So. You go to your rider info button, and now you see there's these 2 tabs. There's a level and skills tab, which are on, and the inventory tab. So it'll gray out any type of gear that can't be equipped on that type of dragon. Mm-hmm. So you can see I have this Gale common.
I was right.
Yeah, you were right. There's win. So, all right. So you'll see. All right, I have a level 1 Gale Vitality Pants. I want to try it on. So try it on,
pants.
And now what it will show you beneath here is where you see the plus 0.3% dragon HP.
Awesome.
It'll show you the new overall stats of whatever gear that you're trying on. So you can try on multiple pieces and see the positive and negative effects. I want to confirm equip, so I'm going to equip that. So now it is equipped, and it goes back to my screen, and you see the 0.3% dragon HP.
Cool. Can you ever have, like, let's say you have pants that give you plus whatever percent of dragon HP, and then can you have like a ring that does the same thing and do this add? Or?
You can have multiple pieces of gear that adjust the same stat.
Got it.
And they're additive. So
Great.
It's not just taking the higher of the 2, it will take the sum total of them all.
Cool.
So we definitely have the ability here. So there's riders with gear that easily 30 and more % bonus to your dragon attack and HP if you're able to get legendary pieces and level them up. So the power benefit of this definitely is can be noticeable.
Very cool.
So another thing I want to show is the leveling up of gear. So we'll go back to that item that we just leveled up, and you click this level up requirements button, and it'll show you its current level is 0.3%. The next level, what it will take you to if you level it up. And then the max level is level 5, and what the stat will be there. So then you have the ability to level up your gear. So complete that, and now my gear is level 2. So
onwards
and
and upwards.
Keep going up and leveling it up. And so now that translates for that 0.3 is now turned to a 0.5.
Great. And so gear can have levels. Dragon riders can have levels. Is there any sort of interaction between like that? Do you have to have your dragon rider like up to a specific level in order to equip some gear?
Yeah, so common pieces of gear can be equipped on all level 1 riders.
Okay.
There are, for rare, epic, and legendary, I can't remember the exact levels off the top of my head, but I think there are some requirements like level 5 maybe and like level 10 to equip certain rarity gears. So you'll have to level your dragon up a little bit, or your rider up a little bit to equip some of the best gear. But again, every rider can equip any piece of gear as long as it's bonded to a dragon of that element.
Cool.
Yeah. And you can also remove the gear if you want. Keep in mind it definitely should be a choice to which that you equip to. So there is a slight ruby cost if you remove a piece of gear from a dragon or from a rider. So cool. And then let's see.
Let's see. So we covered riders, crafting, the gear, skill trees. Did we cover everything?
You know what? I think that there's still more. I think you want to see what happens when you have a dragon riders,
That's right!
Yeah, so I think that everybody has been waiting to see that.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Somebody has asked a question I see.
Great.
They wanted to... Robnas, 29. Can we salvage gear if we make a better piece? So the answer is no, but we do have that in our plan. To do in the future, because right off the start, your inventory, if you craft a bunch of pieces of gear that you don't want, I would suggest using the filters to filter it to a smaller subset. But in the future, there will be a salvage mechanism, but that's not going to be there quite at the start. Yeah. So here, let's see. So let's look at some riders and see some cool stuff here.
It's not over, Fallen.
All
We're
right.
gonna fly with some of these dragon riders on the backs of our dragons.
Let's do.
All right. Who are we gonna try out first?
I think Grogalicious.
Grogalicious
has got to get be brought out. Let's do this here.
Oh, cool. So it'll say that his buff is active.
So as you can see here, let me make it a little bit forward. You can see right here this little guy on the back of the dragon.
This just really shows you how big war
the dragons
are.
actually are. So keep in mind he's not going to be humongous because otherwise you'd be on like a little ant dragon.
Right.
And it
Yeah,
wouldn't work.
that would make sense.
But so I think of it very much like. I think of it very much like Daenerys Targaryen when you see in the show.
Yeah.
She's like, whenever you see her zoomed in, she's just like literally just chilling on its neck and like you can't see the whole. Yeah. So you'll see here in defense you can zoom in and see them really really big. But I think one of the funniest things is you see he's holding his sword up. He's all like this. But when all the riders destroy something, they have a little animation. So you'll see if I destroy this building. He actually cheers his hand and he's like cheers. So it's so funny watching them as they go along and he cheers again. He's like, yes, you're destroying everything. So they cheer you on as you're destroying with your war dragons.
I love that.
So let's zoom in a little bit more. I probably can get this to show you. Here is let's back him up, get him at an angle.
Look at how awesome.
Get him at an angle. Here we go. Oops.
Grogalicious is
So here we
doing
go.
work.
Yeah, so as you can see, he's riding on, and like every dragon, he'll be able to ride on. And the other dragons, they'll have different types of stances and poses depending upon the models. And this one, he's kind of in like he's crouched and hanging on with one hand, and he's got his war sword in the other. So, and right now he's buffing the dragon by the percent. I forget what it was. I think it was like 1% or whatever it was that we added
HP,
that one item. So that's kind of what it looks like. Let's take a look at some of the other riders, maybe.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
So at the release of Dragon Riders, there's an Ashe who it looks like the portrait, and then there's a couple of variations where she's wearing some armor. So with the different variations of Ashe, like how does she differentiate?
Yeah, so she differentiates from kind of what we alluded to earlier about you have ones that are really focused on dragon attack, So she may have dragon attack bonus, and then dragon HP bonus. Then somebody else maybe has another one has more resists, so that your resists are higher. And then you have a couple of versions of Ashe that are base defense. So some that might boost, archer towers and cannon towers, and then another one that might boost another set of towers.
Cool.
So look at the skills and see what your base design is, or your dragon type is, and see which one you think matches best with your base or with your set of dragons that you're flying.
Makes sense.
And definitely pick those and level them up. So let's show you the Ashe ones.
Yes.
So here's one of the Ashe ones. As you can see, she's got her staff and she's got her gear. So, and actually you can see some of the benefits here. So here is 5% less research time. So that's like definitely great if you're doing a lot of research and it can get higher. You have building HP, builder attack, you have archer HP. And as you can see, she's not even fully skilled up. So see how we've kind of weaved our way. We went up and then back to the middle and then up again. But then you could, if you want, go and do mage tower HP. You could do other just generic tower HP. So that's kind of like up to you.
Cool. And then this Ashe, you definitely want her to like hang out on a perch. Because again, you mentioned earlier, like that will boost your entire base, not just that specific island.
Let's check this out here. We have a perch over here. Let's build this. So you'll be able to see. So look, now if you go back to your perch, you have the rider. You see the buff is fully applied. You have all of these boosts, and then you can actually see right here next to the dragon, you can actually see the Ashe sitting there on your dragon perch.
Yeah.
Buffing all your bases. So all your buildings. So super exciting. You can have multiple dragon riders on perches. And it will take, if you have one that's buffing a stat and another that's buffing a stat, it will take the max of the two.
Got it.
So you'll definitely get the benefit there. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So we do have a couple of questions that we got from our Facebook, Twitter, and the forums over the weekend. So I wanted to address those. Some of them we've kind of gone over during the stream, but just so that we can make sure everyone is clear on some of these details that you guys are wondering about. Ernest T from Facebook wants to know, really just wants to name his dragon riders, and he says that he'd love to have a thorn guiding his dragon. Yes.
All right. So change their names. As you saw with our beautiful Grogalicious.
Yes, Grogalicious.
You do have the ability to name your dragon rider. It is going to be similar to naming your regular name in the game.
Yep.
Where it's can only be one word. But you can rename it.
Cool.
So that's cool. And in regards to portraits, as you see, Karnak's minion is one of our portraits. Ashe is also one of our portraits. And there are more of our avatar portraits in the works for more dragon riders. So you will definitely see new characters surfacing. If there's any that seem to be of particular interest to you guys, I'm sure add us on any of our social media channels or on the forums. We'll see that too. So maybe there's something that will show up in the game based upon what people like the most.
Yeah, maybe one day you'll be able to help create a new one as well.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned for more. Lil Red 9 actually has a good question. If you unbond a rider from a dragon, what will happen with the gear?
Yep, so the gear will stay equipped to that rider. So if you unbond the dragon, it will still have the gear, but you will not be able to equip that rider on another dragon if it's not of the same element as that gear, unless you unequip the gear first. So it will not destroy your gear, you'll get to keep your gear, and it will stay equipped to the rider.
Cool. We had, I'm just gonna call this person Beanie on Twitter because their name is very hard to pronounce. Will we ever get gear from chests?
You will not get gear from chests anytime that's not in the plan. So what you will get gear from are the season prizes in its own rider branch and seasons. And I will say that the rider branch is not going to be required to get the final Mythic Dragon at the end of the season next season. So it's not one of the 3 required. So we're not forcing it as an additional branch.
Yeah.
So it's kind of your choice if you want to get it or not. And another nice, hopefully, thing for players is you'll actually see that the total cost of the branch, of each of the branches, is going to be less this season than it was last season. So we understand that we have even more stuff with riders and stuff, so we want to be able to give you a little more opportunity to like engage with it all. So it's actually slightly reduced costs on some of the seasonal branches.
That is fantastic news. I'm super pumped. All right, so let's see. Clarabella, 581, wants to know how many dragon riders can we have?
Yes, so there will be 4 that are out now. There's the 4 versions of Ash, and you can hire them all. Granted, at the start if you're in World Map, and then next week there will be this Grog in the season branches, and then there will definitely be more coming out. Don't have the exact date quite yet, but there will be basically as of next week 5.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And then Marizy, kind of along the same lines of Ernest, wanted to know if there will be male dragon riders in the future. And of course, this was before he got to see Grog. But yeah, he wanted to know about the variety of stuff that's coming out.
Mariz, so I think you'll see one thing I think is definitely something we're considering is making sure to have a balance between the 2. So there'll definitely be options of both genders. And also I think some characters like if you've seen the portraits of the different dragon knights that resemble different dragons, those would probably also be like a good potential option for future dragon riders. Yeah.
I dig it. Samantha G just simply wants to know when this feature is going live.
Yep, today, now, earlier, it's already live. Go ahead and go look at it, check out the dragon riders, and then next week, stay tuned for the launch of the season where you'll get Mr. Grog and all of that new gear as well.
Sweet. And lastly, Jeremiah T. So, are you going to enable the world map for everyone now?
So, I think we have some super exciting news about world map coming up. I think a little birdie told me, or a little pixel told me that it will be maybe this weekend.
Yeah.
So, don't fret, we have some news coming.
Yeah.
And I think people will like it.
Yes.
I think people will be excited about it. So stay tuned. Be on the look at our social media channels for some announcement.
Yes.